Okay, so first off, I want to apologize for the way I sound because I have an expander in the roof of my mouth, so I have a hard time sometimes saying certain words. So, this should sound really good. Anyway, I am doing my debate on euthanasia, assisted suicide, um, death with dignity, that kind of thing. So, this first slide, I've got euthanasia is assisted suicide humane or inhumane? I've got what is euthanasia? So, euthanasia is the practice of medically ending someone's life to relieve their pain and suffering. Um, a lot of people may think that's super cruel. Um, a lot of people probably think that's really inhumane. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 14 years, so I honestly I see both sides, but today I'm debating. My objective is that I want to persuade you into understanding my point of view and why I believe that abiding by someone's wishes and doing what they feel in their heart is the right thing. By dying by assistance is okay because that's their choice. That's not our choice. And as a nurse, you learn that it's not about us and how we feel and our outlook on things. It's what the patient wants. By allowing someone to make their own choice, we're going with those patients' wishes. This argument will explore and show you all the things associated with voluntary euthanasia. So my next slide, I've also got labeled what is euthanasia, kind of continued. There is like a big thing online if you look it up, like a death by dignity. There's things that you can sign and petitions and all of those things. But euthanasia is when a doctor is allowed by law to end a person's life by means that cause no pain. So it would be painless to the patient, as long as the patient and their family agrees. I would say all in all, with living wills and just all those types of documents, it's actually ends up being up to the patient, not really the family. I mean, you want to keep your family involved and that kind of thing. Assisted suicide is when a doctor assists someone in taking their own life if the person wants to do it that way. It's a little bit different. Euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide in most countries is against the law. It can potentially carry a jail sentence. In the U.S., the laws vary by state. It is a very complex process with a lot of factors that play into it. Local laws, the person's actual physical and mental health, along with their personal beliefs, religious beliefs, their dying wishes. Those all play a role. I also really want to stress on mental health. I would assume that you have to go through a pretty, rigorous mental health evaluation to make sure that your thought process is completely clear and, sound-minded, and that, you know what you want to do and that's what you want to do, and your reasonings and all of that kind of thing. My next slide. It is legal in some places. It's still illegal in others. In the United States, the following states find it as a legal practice. So those teal areas on that map, those are the states that it is legal, and there is a death with dignity statute. Looks like states with the death with dignity legal by court decision is like that pale blue. And then like kind of that pale orange color are states that are considering that this year or during their, legal or their legislative session. And then those solid orange ones are states with no activity about all of that. So still several states that are completely against it. And so there's some conflicts with euthanasia. One argument dates back like 2,500 years ago, and it's the Hippocratic Oath. All doctors take this oath, And the original oath included, saying something along the lines of, I will neither give a deadly drug to anybody who asks for it, nor will I make a suggestion to this effect. The world as we know it today has changed so much since Hippocrates, and some feel this oath is completely outdated. So they take that into account. In the U.S. and other countries, euthanasia has been a topic of debate since the early 1800s. Starting like 1828 was the first anti-euthanasia law. That was passed in New York State, and then many states after that followed suit. 1938, they established a euthanasia society to lobby for assisted suicide. And then during the 1960s, advocacy for the right to die approach really began to grow. So from there on, it really started growing and becoming more okay, and people really started understanding the facts and stuff about it. In the 90s in the U.S., the Supreme Court started making moves on the use of non-active euthanasia. In 94, Oregon passed and approved the Death with Dignity Act, allowing physicians to assist people with terminal conditions. So I wanted to touch on that too. So it's not like, you're perfectly healthy and you just say, I'm over this. I want a physician to assist me with, killing myself. So, I'm just going to be cut and dry about it. But you have to have a terminal condition. If you're not expected to live more than 6 months, you have fought your fight. You're done. That is something that some people really want to think about. Some people don't want to go through the agonizing pain and how awful, those last 6 months could potentially be if you don't, if you have intolerable pain and you're just going to suffer. I really think that that's something to consider. And again, it's the patient's wishes. And so I'm all for you do what the patient wants, whether you think that it's right or not. It's all in how they feel to an extent, but this is definitely something that I do agree on. So, my thoughts are on this, that if someone doesn't want to suffer for those last 6 months of their life and they've accepted their fate and that it's probably going to be over with maybe even sooner than 6 months, then let them choose if they're ready to go. Who are you to choose if they're not? If they say that they're ready to go, then they're ready to go. So there's lots of controversies on this. The freedom of choice to do it, your quality of life, just dignity, witnesses, resources, if it's humane or not, your loved ones. There are a lot of controversies in choosing if this is okay or not. So my argument, I would advocate and contend that if a person is suffering from an illness that's terminal, unlikely to benefit from a cure, or anything like that, they're suffering from intolerable pain from that illness, which maybe makes the person dependent on others, and they can't even care for themselves, and they just feel like an invalid at this point. If they have that enduring wish to die, and they're able to, without assistance, to end their own life, I believe that they should be able to have a physician-assisted suicide, or do the physician-assisted death and die with dignity. Who wants to lay there and be miserable? And, I've just seen it so much. There should absolutely be medical and legal aspects to help a person to be assisted to die if, all of those things fall into that. I do think that one should be able to make their own choice about their health, go through a complete mental evaluation, and make their family a part of their voice in the decision. It's a very controversial topic. Your family's obviously gonna want to help you through that. So my takeaway on this whole thing, human euthanasia, including physician-assisted suicide, will always remain a controversial topic. Everyone involved will struggle, the person with the terminal illness, the loved ones, all the medical professionals involved, because let's face it, it's not easy on any of us. I couldn't imagine being the patient, but even when loved ones are on the same page, there can be legal and ethical issues. Always discuss your end-of-life plans with your family and health team to make helps relieve some of the disarray of all of that, and then always check local laws. But bottom line, I feel like respecting the patient's wishes is what's best. And so that was my debate. thanks for listening.